ahead and get started actually. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. All right, so I believe everybody can see my screen right now. Can somebody confirm that with me? Just go ahead and hit unmute and then let me know you can see the screen.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So today we're going to discuss how you can automate your asset recovery business. And a lot of people, refer to asset recovery as tax overages, mortgage foreclosure overages, or unclaimed funds. They also call them excess proceeds. There's a lot of different names for it. But this is what I like to refer to as asset recovery. We're just assisting people on getting this money back. And this is actually a great business that you can scale and automate, because one person can only do so much research. One person can only do so many phone calls. So when you actually have a team of people who are handling, every aspect of this business, it's automatically going to get your numbers up. So this business is all a numbers game. You have to contact as many people as possible so that you can get deals, because, you can get one deal and make thousands. So, and that's just you making these calls. If you have a team and you're contacting multiple states, you're contacting multiple counties, this is all opportunities to get new deals. So step one, you have to identify your goal. How big do you want your business to be? Do you see yourself doing this business just in one state? Or do you see your business, expanding all over the nation? Because, majority of states do have this. They have these tax deed auctions and they have mortgage foreclosures, and the state has unclaimed state funds. So you don't have to just work in your city. You don't have to just work in your state. You can actually work in multiple states. Okay, you just have to look at the requirements. Most states, you can work in them, no questions asked when you're doing tax overages. When you're doing unclaimed state funds, you might have to register to be a PI. You have to look into that, private investigator, or be a registered finder. So you have to identify what states you're going to work in, and then you have to identify what you are going to go after. Like I mentioned, there's tax deed auctions, there's mortgage foreclosures, and there's unclaimed state funds. So you have to see what type of funds are you going to go after. And the beauty is you can go after all of them. You can go after tax overages, you can go after mortgage foreclosures, and you can go after unclaimed state funds. So this actually can allow you to really have an ocean of opportunity. You have so many people that you can contact and reach out to see if you can assist them on filing a claim. So that's step one. Before I jump into step two, does anybody have any questions as far as what I identified in step one? Does anybody
Actually,
hear a speaker? I'm not sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
No questions here.
Okay, we'll have one person go. Let me stop my share. Okay, Tasha. Who's going first? Somebody has a question. Who wants to go first? Nobody? Okay, so we're gonna go back. Oh, Daniel, you have a question. Trying to get my mic working.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect, awesome. So currently I'm only working in state funds at the moment, but I really wanted to get into tax overages as well. And my question is really, do you know the time frame that it would take, from an absolute beginner in tax overages to, really being proficient in that? Do you know what kind of time frame we could be looking at to really get it down completely?
Well, I think it all comes down to, how fast you can learn and how dedicated you are. I have, students that literally watch the videos on YouTube, sign up for the course, go through it that night, contact me the next day to go over mock calls, and then they get a deal that same week. So, it all depends on how fast you can learn, how well you take notes, how well you apply the information that's in the course, because, I can just provide the information on how to do the business, but you actually have to put in the work. You have to do your due diligence and research, understanding how you need to communicate with clients on the phone, how you need to stay organized. So, that answer is relative to yourself. I can't really give a generic answer on how fast you can learn how to do this business and be proficient.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, that makes sense. Got it. Thank you.
Okay. But for doing tax overages, just send me an email and we can do a call and we'll go over that.
Absolutely.
Got some more people that's joining right now. So was there anybody else who had questions on step 1 to scaling this? We're going to share the screen again. And we're just focusing on step 1. Any questions regarding step 1? If not, I'm going to go ahead and move on to step 2.
I have a quick question. What would be your advice as regarding doing tax overages? Would you advise to do tax overage in the state that you live in or another state?
I believe you should work in whatever state that you can find the easiest to get leads. Okay, you might live in a state where that state's, the counties that they have, their websites may not provide information, pretty easy for you to find. You may not be able to find their leads. You may not be able to find any claim forms. They may not tell you exactly, what's needed to file a claim. So my advice would be to work in a state where it's easy to get this information, because this business is driven off of the leads that you get. And like I mentioned before, you're not obligated to work in the state that you're in. And it's honestly not that beneficial, because most of the time, the properties that are foreclosed in your area, they may not necessarily still live there. We do deals all the time in Florida, and we got people living in North Carolina, New York, Kentucky, California, other places. So you'll never actually really see these people face to face. That's why this business is good to scale if you get the actual team right together with that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Does anybody have any more questions regarding step 1? I'll go ahead and share the screen.
I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, because I first started off like wholesaling real estate. Like I wanted to know are there like any taxes we have to pay for the surplus funds or the tax overages?
So this is why you need to get an LLC. You'll get that together. You will have to file for taxes. This is income for your business, but everything can be expenses. All of your costs for the virtual assistants and stuff that we're going to go over, all of your costs for sending out claims, mailing claims, paying for, if you need to buy a printer or fax machine, any type of business related costs can be tax write-offs. But yes, you will have to pay taxes because this is your business. You won't pay them immediately. And sometimes counties, when you file a claim, they require you to file what's considered a W-9, and you put in your information and either the EIN of your business or your social, and they report the funds that you receive to the IRS. So the IRS will know, okay, you just received $30,000 for this claim. That's going to be reported to the IRS.
All right. Because I just got my LLC started through LegalZoom, and I know with wholesaling real estate, they tell us to put 33% of our earnings away just in case for taxes,
Yeah, that's always smart. Exactly. Yeah. You definitely want to stay organized, stay on top of things, and just track all of your expenses, because you need those tax write-offs. And I write off my living room is considered my office. You know, you can write off your phone bill, any type of travel. You know, there's a lot of things that you can write off. Okay, we'll do one more question and then I'll get into step 2. Ginger, you raised your hand. You can go ahead.
Hi, Eric. Yes, I recently got my LLC. I'm in Texas and I am interested in doing both the state funds and the overages. Can I use the same LLC or do I need to have 2 entities or 2 LLCs?
Absolutely. You can use the same LLC. So
Okay.
even if you have an LLC, like the gentleman earlier, he said that he did wholesaling. If you already have an LLC and the name can kind of tie in and make sense with this business, you can use that. You're not obligated to just, you know, specifically do one business with your LLC. You can do multiple as long as the name makes sense.
Yes, I believe it does. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So we'll get into step 2 now. So for those of you who just joined, we went over step 1 and I was basically explaining you need to identify your goals. How big do you want to take this business? It's a good business that you can scale, you can automate, but you need to, you know, ask yourself, are you working in just one state? Are you working in the entire nation? And then you need to identify what type of funds you're going after. Are you doing tax overages, mortgage overages, or unclaimed state funds? And after that, you know, of course, there's more levels to step 1. And if you guys want to learn about this, I'll tell you about it at the end. There's a program that I'm starting for that. But step 2, you have to get your team together. So in order for this to take place, for you to scale the business, for you to automate the business, you have to have a team, okay? And for all of you that are watching this video, I hope you have a CEO mindset. You don't want to have an employee mindset. You don't want to, you know, just work. You want to start a business. You can start your own asset recovery firm where you're the CEO. You overlook everything. You don't have to be the one spending the time doing research, making calls, filing claims, staying organized. You can be the CEO. You can hire people to do this and fully automate your business. So the best way to do this is to have a virtual assistant staff. You need people that are doing research. You need people to make calls. So the cheapest option to get a virtual staff is to hire from Virtual Staff PH. And this is Filipino virtual assistants. Now, the Philippines, I guess their currency is so low compared to the US dollar, you can pay them $4 to $5 an hour and you can have quality virtual assistants. These assistants have degrees, you know, they know how to input data, they know how to stay organized, they know how to be professional, and you can get them at a very low rate. So you can have them do a majority of this business for your research, for your organization, and you can get that for a low cost. Now, when it comes to the cold calling in this business, you're gonna need to have an American voice, okay? You don't wanna go with the Filipinos for the cold calling because people initially already believe that this is a scam. So, you know, you don't wanna give off any type of accents or nothing like that. They're gonna hang up immediately. You wanna have somebody who's good. So you go on over to Fiverr and you just research cold caller, and you can, you know, there's many people for real estate cold callers. There's, you know, people that are cheap, there's people that are expensive. But like I said, you want to hire somebody who has a good American voice that is professional and that you know is capable of getting you deals, because you don't want to just, you know, hire anybody. This is your bread and butter. Your cold caller, that's your most important person. So what basically, you'll go on that website, you'll go on virtualstaff.ph and you'll put a posting and you'll identify exactly what you're looking for. You know, like I said, they're great for doing research. They're great for filling out paperwork, staying organized, things like that. So when you have your team, you have to identify their roles. So if you have, your Philippine people doing a lot of the research, or whoever you have doing the research, then you have your American speakers doing the cold calling. You need to have your system set up, okay? So if you have a large team and, let's say you have 5 assistants, okay? You got 3 people that are doing research, organization, and you got 2 callers, 1 person doing cold calling and 1 person that can close. You need to have your steps, okay? Identify how we find leads for whatever category we're doing, tax overages, mortgage overages, unclaimed state funds. You need to identify how are you getting the people who's owed this money. Then you need to figure out their information, their phone numbers, how can you get in contact? So your virtual assistant, whoever you got, they need to be able to do that proficiently, okay? They need to be able to research. Then you want to get your callers, somebody that's ready to bang out calls, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, that's ready to work, okay? By doing this, you can now contact more people, because one person, I always say, you only need 1 to 2 hours per day. If you have a team, if they're virtual assistants, if there's cold callers, this is their job. This is what they get paid to do. So they can take on the full workload, give them as many calls to make. Obviously, make sure that they're capable of doing it, but give them a lot of calls. The more people you contact, the more deals you can convert. Then you want to have a closer. You want to have somebody that can come in and be a second voice to maybe a client that has a little bit more questions, or it's always good to say, okay, let me discuss this with my boss, and then you have somebody else come in. It gives people, sometimes some comfort thinking that they're talking to somebody higher up. And then lastly, you want to have somebody who can really stay organized with everything. So they kind of look over, make sure everybody's doing what they need to do. But most importantly, they want to make sure that all the files are organized. So with your claims, your PDF files, your documents, following up with the county, seeing how many days are left, being able to identify if there's any issues, stuff like that. So that's pretty much your team. You got to get your team together. You have to be able to identify their roles. You can use the websites I provided. But obviously, once you do get your team, then you'll have to train them. So the program that I was referring to at the end is I will help you, and I will train all of your assistants, and we'll go over how to research, how to skip trace, how to make calls, until you have your team that's ready to automate, fully capable, because your team has to have just as much knowledge of tax overages, mortgage overages, unclaimed state funds as you. They have to know exactly all the in and outs, because when you're on the phone, or even when you're doing research, you need to know exactly what you're doing and what you're looking for. So now we can get into the questions on step 2. If anybody has questions on step 2, just go ahead and talk. You don't even have to raise your hand, just talk, and then we'll get to it.
Yeah, what's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, man?
All right, so my question is, how would the assistants being in the Philippines, how would they be able to make calls on your behalf?
So the people in the Philippines, like I mentioned, you don't want them making calls, but let's just say, you did want to have them make calls. There's a service called Phone Burner, and that's what I used, and it had a built-in phone into it. And as long as you have Wi-Fi, they can make calls. They just have to wake up, at the time to make calls in the Eastern time. But you do not want to have anybody with an accent making cold calls. You're not going to get deals. It's going to be a waste of time.
Hello, Eric.
Hello.
Hey, this is Robert Coles. I want to just share some knowledge as far as what I've seen. They've got a really nice CRM that's very, very affordable. It's called Hubspot. They got the whole integration process already built in. They got their phone system. They got the notes. Hold on 1 second. This is really good stuff that I'm gonna share with everybody right now. So you can actually import your CSV or your Excel files into HubSpot, and it imports them in. You can set up permissions inside of HubSpot so that you're the super user. Then your VAs, when you actually set them up, you can have them with normal users, right? So they can only see the information inside of here that the people that they're going to call that you actually assign them. This is really good stuff right here. HubSpot.com, HUBSPOT.com. I highly recommend everybody should take a look at this right here because this is going to make your life a lot easier.
HubSpot, okay. Yeah, that sounds
Robert.
good.
Yeah, that was actually the question I was just going to ask. Is there any good CRM that you can collaborate with? And Robert, that's great. I'll go ahead and check that out.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. I was thinking the same thing. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's good. That's really good.
I'm gonna finish up. So what it has inside of here, once you import that user's name that's on your list, it has your notes. It has the email. You can send the email right inside of there. You can actually make the phone calls inside of there. All you need to do is integrate with Twilio. Twilio is like, I talked to them last week. They have it for like less than a cent. You can make like maybe, I think about 5,000 minutes of calls. I think it's like $10 for the month. It's got call logs, it's got your task, and you can set up your meetings inside of a Google Calendar as well as your Office 365. You can set the meetings up all right inside here. I highly recommend you guys get it. I think it's like maybe $50 a month. It's well worth it. Okay. That's my tip of the day.
Okay, nice. Any other questions or comments?
I've got one if no one else has one. I had a quick question about, licensing and registration. Because I think, as we know, that some states actually require you to, send a letter to register with the, the local, the government that they have there. So is that required for some of your VAs, or is that just something that you need to fulfill and no one really else has to go through that process?
Yeah, so when they're making calls, they're going to be making calls on behalf of your company, your LLC. And some states, they do require you to list out, exactly who's contacting these people, who works for your company. So, if you can compile a list of who you have making calls, you could just add their name. But when you become registered and that happens, you don't have to register each individual that's making these calls. Your company, as long as your company's registered and you're listing out who's making calls, then you're fine.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
And Eric, here's also another alternative. If you've got a Google Gmail account, you can make phone calls right inside of there. It's free.
Yeah, Google Voice, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Google Voice, and also you have Hangout if you want to do like the video chat and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what we're using. It's extremely good.
Yep. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and that CRM that you provided was great. There's a lot of CRMs out there that are pretty good. What I use for my business is Excess Elite. So with Excess Elite, this is going to be able to provide all information for counties. Right here, this is Ohio. So if you click on Washington County, they give you a link, tax sale information. So that's going to give you information on, the tax overages. The excess fund list is boom right there. And then research is telling you, the link that you need to go to so you can perform your due diligence on the property. And it also tells you when they update this list. So the lead list is updated, monthly on that one. Well, once a month, once a year. And then let's see, this one updates every month. And the good thing about Excess Elite is it shows database for multiple states. So that was just Ohio right there.
I'm sorry, sir, I can't see your screen.
You can't see right now?
No, sir, I can't see. I cannot see your screen.
I can see it.
Okay.
Let me log out and come back in. And you said it was ACCESSUNIQUE?
Yeah, so I'll actually, this is screen recording, and I'm gonna upload this to YouTube as well. So
okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so this website, This is going to make your scaling faster because, they have all the data that they need. Now, this is mainly for tax overages and mortgage overages. They haven't come out with.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
They haven't come out with the state fund stuff yet. Let's see, Florida. Florida's a great state for them. They have a lot of information there. And Florida usually comes out with their databases weekly. A lot of counties in Florida are foreclosed. So if we go back to the Florida reports, they also have mortgage foreclosures. So you can learn about that as well. But what you want to do is you want to go to the resource tab, and this resource tab will give you the leads to many counties. You click on that, and then you'll actually click on the spreadsheet that will give you access to all of the leads, fully skip traced, and it'll have their phone numbers. It'll give you the surplus amount. Now, here's the thing with phone, when it comes to phone numbers and using a paid service, because Access Elite isn't the only paid service for actually getting leads. There's many websites out there. Well, not many. There's about 3 options that you can get for paid leads with tax overages and mortgage overages. When you get these leads and you do your skip tracing and you get these phone calls, there's no website in America, in the world, that's going to give you the actual accurate phone number. So it does require a lot of phone calls. But if you use these services, like I mentioned, Phone Burner or any type of auto dialer, you can start a phone session where it will have all the phone numbers. And when you activate the call, it'll call all the numbers, and the ones that are disconnected or, not in service, it'll cut those out. And whoever answers the phone, it'll direct you to that phone number. So it's always good to use a auto dialer so that you can, make as many calls as you can. Because like I mentioned, the skip tracing websites, it doesn't matter if you're using a free service or a service that you spend hundreds of dollars per month, you are never going to 100% get accurate phone numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions? We're going to end this call in about 6 minutes.
I have a question.
Okay, Christian.
Yeah, this is me, Christian. So the question that I have is that when it comes to, how certain times it's difficult, like you said, to get numbers, but sometimes it's more easy to get access to the actual address. Now, is there any direct mail, that's just solidified through tax overages, specifically that you could send and invest in?
Oh, well, yeah, sending out letters and mailing is another option that you can do besides cold calling. You can send emails too, and sending letters is good. I have that in the course, the letters that you can send out, basically explaining to people, what occurs at foreclosures, stuff like that. But yeah, if you can get their address, that's the same thing. You'll never truly know their 100% accurate address.
Right.
People can move whenever they feel like it. So that's one of those, but that's a cheap option. There are mail houses where you can send out thousands of mailers, for a pretty good price. So, just send it out to all the addresses that you find. It can be pretty cheap.
Okay, cool. And a second question that I have is, so obviously, of course, when you get into it, you want people to work for you. But in the beginning, is that suggested off the bat, right away? Do you have people work for you, or you start off first doing it yourself, and then once you build some capital, build something?
Yeah, I mean, well, you definitely want to have knowledge of it. You want to fully understand it because, like I said, your virtual assistants, your staff has to be just as knowledgeable as yourself. But, starting out, you want to know the ins and outs, definitely get a deal under your belt. But if not, you may not have time, to do everything that's necessary in this business. And if you want to scale it and you need people to teach them how to do it, I do offer that service. So if you're interested in that, just send an email. You guys know my emails. It's either Money Making Juggernaut or Overage Overflow. Send me an email. If you have further questions, we can actually book a call. If you're not a member of the course, we can book a call as well, and then we can get you guys signed up. But I will be going through a 4-week process of training your team. If you do choose to sign up, we'll go over the costs and everything for that. but I will fully train your staff so that you can automate this business. Okay.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, buddy.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
All right. It says we got about 8 minutes left on this before it cuts off. It's off. Got time for 2 more questions.
Eric,
Mhm.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
So I wanted to add something and also ask a question. In regards to HubSpot, I use it and it is phenomenal. I mean, you can add, say for example, you can add a sheriff letter to a contact that's in HubSpot. If you have a contact, you can add every single document, sheriff letter, overage letter. Once you pull up that person, everything is there. You can call them in there. You can do send a text message, send every single thing. It's really, really amazing. Because
Guys, you need to look at it. Please look at HubSpot. I'll say this to everybody. Please look at HubSpot.
What is it called again?
HUB like boy, spot, SPOT.com.
Yeah, it's amazing. And also I wanted to know, what is a good auto dialer?
A good auto dialer?
Yes, it does.
It has an auto dialer in it as well. Nice.
I'm asking.
Oh, what's a good auto dialer? Phone burner. So I'll put the links. Like I said, this is being recorded. I'll upload it to YouTube, but I will also I'll also put the links, you know, to good stuff, good auto dollars, the HubSpot you guys been talking about, Excess Elite. Everything will be in the description. So make sure, you know, and it'll be good video to rewatch. And like I mentioned, that's just his first 2 steps. We are going to go into more depth coming up shortly, but you will have to register for that. That one's not going to be open to everybody. So you will have to register for that. If you're interested, reach out to me on the email.
Yeah, I just finished a course like actually about 20 minutes ago.
20 minutes? Okay, nice.
Yeah, so I'm a virgin man, just starting off. So I'm just listening to you guys right now. So
okay. All right. We got time for one more question.
Hi there, everybody. My name is Cher. I'm from Ohio, and I have a quick question. Eric, what I'm running into, and just bear in mind that I am just starting out. I just started my business in May. I've been trying to locate attorneys in my state, and I've been having some issues with them helping me because they're trying to tell me that this business model is unethical. Even though I advise them that I have the limited power of attorney from the client, I'm still having some obstacles. Does anyone know any good attorneys that have a background or have knowledge about the overage business that might be able to assist?
Well, the thing is with attorneys, you have to use an attorney that is licensed in that state to actually do the business. You can't just have somebody like in Illinois doing something in Georgia. So when you're contacting these attorneys, and I actually have a section on this in the course, I explain how these attorneys are. Attorneys are the most arrogant people in the world. And although they're telling you it's unethical, as you know, it is ethical, it is legal, and you know, this is a business that you can do. And while they're saying that, there's attorneys who actually do this. You can look it up. You know, there's attorneys who firms strictly do, you know, unclaimed funds, asset recovery, things like that. There are attorneys that do that, and they actually charge way higher than us, and they make a good living on doing it. So you just have to stay at it, keep researching, keep contacting all the real estate attorneys. But my advice would be to find an attorney that is young and hungry. Okay, it's the older ones who are arrogant, you know, and when you're communicating with these people, you want to be knowledgeable. I always say, even if you haven't done this before, don't go calling them, telling them, oh, this is my first deal. I've never really done it before. I don't know. Like, you know, communicate to them professionally. If you have some questions that they may have asked you that you don't know, just send me an email and I'll be able to help you with that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, that sums it up for today. Like I said, this video has been recorded. I'm uploaded to YouTube. If you're interested in the course and you haven't registered, email me to book a call. If you're interested in the scale opportunity, email me and we'll go over everything.
Eric, I want to go ahead and get with you. I'll send you an email after this recorded conference is over with. I do have access to some attorneys, but I want to talk to you first before I do anything. I would love to help